No flaws by RedRix. What? Hey, calm down, man. What's so surprising about it? That was enough to make me quite, but shouldn't he be unable to reproduce? Less than answer. Upon the individual Guy Crimson's evolution into a demon god, his spiritual body and material body, both of which usually overlap with each other, became one. The new body which became one is closer to the spiritual body, but it also is his material body, so wherever he goes he would be able to exert his full power and capabilities. That includes being able to reproduce. Greater than. As a side note, you can also say that he exists as a purely spiritual being but without any restrictions, like normally in the original story a spiritual being like a demon would eventually die just by staying in the material world and would not be able to come back unless summoned again. But due to this evolution those types of restrictions didn't matter anymore. More like they don't apply to them anymore. Or something like that. I know that. I was the one who evolved him. I am more surprised that he actually did it. It was the last thing I expected to ever happen. CL's explanation, which happened hundreds of millions of times the rate of any normal conversation, did help me calm down a bit. Truthfully, it was the last thing I had expected from Guy and Velzard. But looking at it again, I was also involved in bringing these two closer romantically over the past 2 millennia. Well, let's just ignore that and focus on the present. My bad. It was the thing I least expected to happen ever, so I got a bit surprised. Don't be too surprised. You were the culprit who brought us this close. Did you really had to bring that up? Velzard destroyed an entire freaking world when she confessed to you. In the first place, I still don't understand why she had to fight you to propose. Well, I do get the sprouts of envy and stuff, but sometime I seriously can't comprehend your behavior. It was a good thing that I took you guys to another world, cuz if you guys fought here the world would be destroyed even after me, Diablo, Misery and Rain tried to control the surrounding destruction. Yay, thanks for taking us to there, by the way, Guy said with a smile. Tisk. There is no point in arguing with you, so how much time before I become an uncle again? 900 years. Oh my, I thought it would be a long time, but isn't that too much? You are talking about a child between a demon god and a true dragon who can destroy basically anything. I would say that much time is justified. If you put it like that, then it does make sense. Meanwhile, the other men were reconsidering their life choices. Their thoughts can be summed up by demon god, he says. Has he evolved again after becoming a demon peer? Destroying another world? How is that even possible? How strong are these guys? And Fuse, who was also present in the hot springs, was almost on the brink of another cardiac arrest after hearing their conversation. Velzard was also bombarded with questions after some girls eavesdropped on the men's conversation. The next day, fight me during the Walpurgis, was the first thing Guy asked of me. Well, it sounded more like a demand though. Considering his personality, it's the normal, I suppose. Why would I fight you? Even if we fight, the dimension in which Walpurgis is going to be held would collapse. I am not saying to fight like we usually do. If I had to put it into your words, it would be more like putting a show. A really deadly and fun one at that. Is this one of your pranks again? You do understand me after all, Rimuru? Okay, fine, I accept. Not like you would back down anyways. Well, if we guys fight seriously, we can easily cause destruction on the cosmic level. So we don't tend to go all out most of the time. Keyword being most, but if it's a show of abilities, that I am more than happy to do it. Of course, I won't show my trump cards like Imaginary Blade or Turn Null. Neither do I plan on exposing my various ultimate skills. Just a pure one-on-one clash of blades. And since Guy has not used his sword ever in front of the other demon lords, it would be extremely shocking for them to see that I could fight with Guy on equal footing. I would also love to see their expressions when they see our duel. There was another reason as to why I accepted this fight, and that was, for some reason I really wanted to punch the daylights out of him after he said that Velzard was pregnant. I'm a overprotective brother. What's that? Can you explain? Well, enough of that, let's get going to eat breakfast. After breakfast, I also had to provide more detailed explanation regarding some events, because yesterday I only went over the more important events. Things such as the true demon lord evolution of my subordinates, the Founders Festival, true identifications of the people behind the scenes. Things like that I had not shown or told them. So we decided to hold another meeting to negotiate on our future policies and what to also discuss the plans regarding the handling Clayman's army currently stationed in Milam's domain. But one thing has been troubling me. Errol seems to be scared of me a bit. Well, I guess it can't be helped. Gazel seems to be perfectly fine though, now he has started to act like he's my brother or something. After we concluded our talks, I now have to appoint duties and tasks. Ultima was appointed as the Chief Prosecutor of the Public Prosecution Office. Carrera was appointed as the Chief Justice Officer of the Supreme Court. Testarossa was appointed as the Military Attaché, although that would only be implacable when we join the Western Council, so she will be assisting Ultima till then. I had also built a facility to train the military personnel to handle more modern vehicles such as tanks and aircrafts, and now that we have intelligent demons working for us, we can actually train them and they can in turn train others on the use of these militaristic vehicles. Mainly the 3,000 lizardmen under Gabble will be trained to use these war machines alongside some demons. Since most of the men in the upper echelons would be able to cause more destruction than those war machines, it would be a total waste to let them use the war machines. But before they could use the vehicles, they would need to undergo special training for the span of a year at least. When I explained this to my staff, they were not surprised at all. Totally opposite to my expectation, they said, "We have seen the destruction of a world through your memories and the technology that the Empire possesses, so we figured that you would definitely create something like that." Anyways, it was decided that Benimaru would lead the army Gabble and Geld would be involved in the assault too. Shuna, Hakuro, Soe and Carrera would investigate Clayman's castle. Testarossa would go to Falmouth. Ultima would be defending the city. Diablo and Xian would be coming with me alongside Ronga, who will be in my shadow. Veldora and Velzard will also be present in the Walpurgis. I was told that special seats would be arranged for the two true dragons. When I told Diablo that he would have to go to the Falmouth Kingdom, he was almost about to cry. He desperately pleaded to change my mind. Me also, not wanting to hear Diablo's rambling, asked him for another solution instead, and his solution was to send Testarossa. Well, he did make some valid points, so I allowed it. I would be praying for the Eastern Demon Slayers, hope they survive the encounter with Testarossa or remain sane after their encounter. By the time midnight arrived, I had also teleported the refugees from Eurazania to Tempest. I still had to teleport my entire army. How tiring. When I arrived at our main camp, one was given the reports regarding our fighting forces. We first visited a group that had been with me almost from the start. Gobta's Goblin Riders, a legion of hobgoblins led by star wolves that almost never naturally appeared unless the right conditions were in place. They had all learned the extra skill Unify. On the individual level, they were awarded the A+ rank. Complete killers in battle. A few working together could probably beat a Calamity class magic born. Next, we visited some of Benimaru's personal trainees. This included 500 ogres. Some had volunteered for the force, making them named warriors from the start. These ogres had formed a sort of elite personal guard for Benimaru. They varied from A- in rank to a special A rank Calamity. I named them Team Kuranai. Now, for the fighters assigned to Benimaru's main force. This was around 4,000 hobgoblins. Each soldier ranked a B+ equivalent, and you could call them a specialized assault team. I named this army the Green Numbers. Next up was Geld's force. This unit was sturdy enough that each member ranked a solid B+. That, plus the unique equipment on each one, made them impervious to any normal force. They numbered 5,000. Their official name was now the Yellow Numbers. Close behind them were the 100 Dragonoots under Gabble's command. With my naming and their training, that had all breezed into the A+ rank. Gabble's personal subordinates were strong enough to be classified as a special A rank. I named them Team Hirayu. They only numbered 100, but in terms of raw power they could rival freshly evolved archdemons. Team Reborn was also 100 strong. Trained by Xian herself. After experiencing countless near-death moments, they all had the extra skills, complete memory, and ultra-speed regeneration, pretty much immortal, and awarded the rank of A- at an individual level. Last but not least, the Black Numbers. Numbering more than 10,000 in total. Well, 10,000 newly evolved greater demons and 50 newly evolved archdemons would be going on this picnic convention. The rest of them would be holding the fort back home. Well, in the individual level, they are all ranked at A+ at the minimum. The newly evolved archdemons are all ranked special A, so I don't think any problems would arise. Still, after Benimaru finished his report, I couldn't help but be amazed by the sight of 20,000 of my soldiers in formation. That, plus 10,000 beastmen soldiers. An army of 30,000, all lined up and waiting for the order to march. Sir Rimuru, Rigurd reported. Everything is ready. I thanked him for his long hours of frantic work. Oh, I hardly deserve it, he said, smiling. So if we're all set, it's time to get transporting. All right, Alvis, we have all your friends assembled on the other side, so I want you to relay what we talked about to them. I think Phobio should be organizing them into units, so you take care of the rest. Understood. I promise I will not forget your kindness. She bowed deeply at me, followed by Sufia and the rest of the beastmen. It felt almost oppressive, but I didn't react. That was how they wanted to show their appreciation. You really saved us, a smiling Sufia told me. Now we can smash up Clayman's forces without a second thought. We'll let you have him, Sir Rimuru, so take out all our anger on him for me. Everything was set for them, now all they had to do was go wild on the battlefield. With the extra fighters, we now had a unified force of 40,000 to go against Clayman's own 30,000. We outnumbered them, and we were the better quality army. The strategy, as it was, is pretty simple. We'd make it look like we had the refugees evacuate into the forest of Jura, then strike at the enemy forces trying to pursue them. That's about it. Now to just leave things to Benimaru and wait for the good news. Right. No matter what happens, I want you to report back immediately. I'm sending you off now. Win this one, guys. Rah. Victory shall be yours. And now they were all looking at me, all those many, many eyes. As I regarded them with my own golden pair, I instantly teleported them. A blink of an eye and they were all gone. Yom and his squad too also set off that afternoon. I look forward to having them tell everyone they run into along the way that Veldora is back. I told them to make sure and phrase it so it spreads as quickly from village to village as possible. Another day passed, and while Benimaru reported that things were moving along well, we weren't without our problems. Naturally, a group of 40,000 soldiers and refugees is a little restricted in where it can go. These were stout beastmen, however, not humans, so they should reach their destination without too much delay. I wasn't too worried, though. Regardless, Rigurd had set up the required camping quarters on the 95th floor of the labyrinth after I sent everyone off yesterday, so I figured we could transport the refugees alone into there. So I did it all in a snap. Quite literally. In the end, the day of the Walpurgis Council began without any major crisis. My work was done before lunch, allowing me to dive into the final stages that afternoon. Looks like I'll be on time. That's a relief. The only thing remaining is to dress up and wait. Rimuru-sama, I have brought you some cake and black tea. Or eat the cake made by Shuna. By the time I finished eating my cake it was time for Shuna and company to go to invade Clayman's castle. After I wished them good luck they too left. Guy and his entourage had already left a few hours ago so I didn't have to worry about them either. The only thing left was to wait. Ramirez and her entourage alongside Veldora, Shion and Diablo were also present in the room waiting. It was just before midnight now. We spent the time by chatting. More specifically I was telling them about my stay in Guy's castle. I also told Veldora about me taking in Razul as my subordinate. Well, he was excited to say the least. Not only Zijin but Razul too as his apprentice. Speaking of Razul, he seemed to be in a mutual agreement with Granbel and the Count of Sidel. Looking closer I found out that he was stronger than Hinata. Well, he has a millennium of experience in combat alongside that he has legend grade gear 2 fused with his body. Next up let's check on Yuki, and he's reading manga. Well, that's to be expected. Wanting to confirm somethings I decided to contact him through the communication device aka the cell phone, which I gave him. Hello? Oh, I can hear you perfectly, Rimuru-san. Well, that's good. I was a little worried that it won't work because of the barriers over the city. I also thought that this thing might not work, but it's better than expected. It's almost like talking side by side. Yay, the quality seems to be better than the ones back on Earth. Oh, I have never really owned one so I can't comment on that. So anyways, did you contact to inquire about Laplace and Tier's movements? Yay, well they are moving as we planned. Well, that's good to hear. Oh, I guess I gotta go. I hung up the call in a hurry since Misery had came to pick me up. Let's begin the fun part, shall we? Small Lil chapter just wanted to get over with this. I have come to take you, Lord Rimuru, Lord Veldora and Lady Ramirez. Misery said as she came out of the grandiose gate from hell. Yay, that's what I named it, and greeted us. Then she stood by the gate and lowered her eyes, eliminating her presence. Both Misery and Rain had evolved into the Devil Lord race, and the 6 archdemons under them, Masora, Khan, Squall, Ulrich, Alban, and Georg, had evolved into the Demon Peer race nearly 8,000 years ago. I was the main suspect who helped these demons grow stronger just because I was a bit bored. Well, Diablo was also involved in that. In fact, you can also say that Diablo enjoyed it more than me. Although every time he played with them he left them on the brink of death, saying that it was because of my will or something. Anyways, back to the current situation. Oh, hey, haven't seen you in an age. How's your partner Rain? It was Ramirez who asked that question since she didn't meet them when they were here in Tempest. Somehow. I am sure that she is doing fine, she said. Ramirez. Yay? These guys stayed here in Tempest for the past 3 days. Wait, these two also were there? Yes, they were. Oh, I am so sorry that I didn't notice you too. Well, unlike her childlike self, she actually knows how to apologize. Well then, I said as I clapped my hands once to get their attention. We still have a Walpurgis to attend. You can ask them questions later on too. With that we left for our destination. A separate dimension completely isolated from the rest of the planet. A separate world shaped like a room. A large, round table was positioned in the center, with 11 evenly spaced chairs surrounding it. 2 extra seats were also kept in the room away from the large table. One was placed right behind the chair I was going to sit, and the other was placed behind the strongest demon and the overlord of the demon lords, the Lord of Darkness Guy Crimson, whose seat was right in front of my seat across the table. And the seat behind him was occupied by the Ice Empress herself, the White Ice Dragon Velzard, controlling her Yuki perfectly. Besides Guy sat Ramirez. More specifically the real Ramirez, as she calls herself, perfectly controlling her Yuki, giving her the air of a divine beauty. Behind her stood Trainee and Beretta, also suppressing their Yuki as best as they could. Trainee looked like a mature beauty while Beretta looked like a complex doll. Guy, like usual, was releasing Yuki, which was quite similar to Carolon's in terms of its amount, but there was a major difference. He had become a similar existence to the true dragon race, unlike the divine monster spirits which most of my direct subordinates evolved into in the last timeline. The demon god race was not one bit inferior to the true dragon race, both of them being supreme spirits. The only difference was that demon god is a supreme chaos spirit and the true dragon is a supreme divine spirit. If a true dragon releases their aura, it can be considered an attack at the ultimate level, and it was the same for Guy and Diablo, who are demon gods. It was clearly on a whole other level. Getting back to reality, I sat on my assigned seat. I am thankful that I can use Godspeed acceleration, which boosts my thought process by 1 billion times. By the way, Veldora is also concealing his Yuki perfectly alongside Diablo and Xian. I am also giving of the same amount of Yuki as Frey, which is about less than answer. Her EP is 389,746 and your current EP that is being projected is ranging from 350,000 to 400,000 greater than. Yay that. By the time I sat in place, De Gruel lumbered into the room. His overwhelming presence dominating the room. He immediately walked up and slammed himself into a seat at Guy's right, kicking back and putting his feet up. Less than the Demon Lord De Gruel's EP is 40,043,055 greater than. Well, unlike last time, his total energy was clearly readable. From that alone you could guess that he could rival the dragon type, at least in terms of physical strength and the amount of energy. Now the stand-in Demon Lord Valentine came in. He's pretty darn strong as an individual, but when you compare him to the members of the Octogram, he's not that special or powerful. Well, Ruminez and Gunther did come along with her. After a little while, Dino also showed up, almost sleepwalking. Less than the individual Dino EP is 405,060, however he also possesses 2 mythical class swords, currently bringing his combined EP to nearly 4.5 million. He also possesses a great amount of energy which is stored by the unique skill, Sloth, greater than 4.5 million. That's higher than what I expected. Wasn't his EP with the great sword alongside the energy increase was 3 million. Well, those swords are likely being used since his fall. If my guess is right, then those are some really darn good weapons. Well, he stopped by Ramirez's seat to say hello, albeit with slight surprise. I didn't think that you would grow up this quickly. Foo. Dino-chan, you are slightly mistaken, Ramirez said with a tinge of pride in her voice. Huh? What's that supposed to mean? Weren't you supposed to go through a cycle of reincarnation? He replies with obvious confusion mixed in his voice and face. Well, I have permanently regained my true form. Ramirez stood up and boldly declared. But it was you who said that it was impossible to go back to your true form. Well, not anymore. You see Rimuru over there, she said pointing towards me, and I just waved at them. Yay. He was the person who made it possible. I am not sure as to how he did it, so you would have to ask him for details later on. Huh, this guy? He looked at me and then at Guy, and as if something clicked in his head he nodded, seemingly satisfied. I guess Clayman's life expectancy is running out. Looks like he found out. He too can be unexpectedly sharp sometimes, but since Clayman's not here it wasn't too big of a problem. Well, Ramirez's declaration was also met with surprise from others except Guy. Oh, you have attendants too? Did that guy give these two to you? HMPF. They are my followers, but it is also true that Rimuru gave them bodies and names. Oh, looks like Clayman's definitely on his deathbed. Once he finished saying his hellos, Dino stumbled over to his seat next to Valentine's and started sleeping. The moment Dino put his head on the table, Frey also came in alongside Caroline in his disguise and Lucretia. Once she stepped inside, her eyes turned first to Milam's empty seat, then to me, then to Veldora, and lastly Velzard. Perhaps she senses something from them? Well, let's not worry about that. As I observed the others, I sensed that Leon was entering the room. You are Rimuru? He asked as he walked right up to me. Yeah, you're Leon? Did you need something? Yes, I am Leon. And no, I need nothing from you. The sight of you brought back some memories, is all. Shizu's dead, Leon. I know, he coldly stated. And of course she would be. She took in Ifrit but refused to become a magic born. She asked me to punch you out for her. Mind letting me do that? No, thank you. I wanted her to live as a human being. I even gave her Ifrit as a farewell gift. I see no reason why I deserve a beating for it. But I do have a bit of an interest in you. If you have an issue with me, I'll happily invite you to come visit. You can turn down the offer, of course, if you think it's a trap. All right. I'll do that. Do send me an invitation. Leon nodded, looking a little annoyed. I will. Assuming you walk out of this meeting hall alive, that is. With that blunt rejoinder, Leon settled down in the seat just to my left. All that remained were Clayman and Milam. And just when I thought the council was about to begin, Benimaru tossed a thought communication my way telling me that Clayman's army was completely defeated and his castle captured alongside Adelman joining our side. And then, just as I finished reading the reports, Clayman finally appeared before me. Anyway, Milam followed behind him, completing the night's attendee list. Move it, you half-wit. Clayman closed fist punched Milam. Sit yourself down, you stupid dunce, he said, ruthlessly bossing her around. Looks like his death won't be that painless after all. The council had only just begun. The event was attended by a total of 9 people, minus Caroline. Lord of Darkness, Guy Crimson, Demon, Destroyer, Milam Nava, Dragonoid. Labyrinth Master, Ramirez, Spirit Queen, Earthquake, DeGruel, Giant. Bloody Lord, Roy Valentine, Vampire. Sleeping Ruler, Dino, Fallen. Sky Queen, Frey, Harpy, Marionette Master, Clayman, Walking Dead. Platinum Saber, Leon Cromwell, Ex-Human, and then, me. The subject of this council, the slime who dare call himself Demon Lord. All right, first, thanks to all of you for answering my invitation and coming here. It is now time to begin our festival. I hereby declare this Walpurgis Council convened. Clayman went on for a while, explaining matters with an obvious sense of pride, and I diligently listened to all of it by handing over the control of my body to Seal. Well, it is more or less the same as in the last timeline. To be precise, it was said exactly the same way. I am suspecting that he had written this in a script or something. Looking over at Guy, the first saw that he had also lost interest. Veldora and Velzard weren't interested from the beginning. That concludes my case, Clayman bellowed, looking all self-important. Hopefully, everybody in the room now fully understands that Rimuru, that trifling lowlife magic born over there, is nothing more than a weakling posing as a demon lord. I believe that a purge is in order here. I thought that I heard Velzard chuckling. Rain, who had been taking the MC post, turned her eyes to me.
We will now listen to testimony from our visitor.
So, Clayman, right? You're a goddamn liar. What? I mean, honestly speaking, I don't give a crap about demon lords. That story about Carolon luring me into this is a load of BS, and Falmouth attacked us out of their own greed. Those two things aren't related to each other at all.
Clayman gave me an irritated sneer. Ha, who would ever believe trite excuses like that? One of my most senior advisors has been killed.
Here we go. Just what I've been waiting for. Yeah, Majoran, right? Well, I didn't kill her. In fact, she's alive. Pa. Of all the ludicrous, whoa, hear me out. Pretty much all of that speech was based off verbal testimony and your own conjecturing. And maybe that'd be enough to deal with some rank and filer, but it won't work on me. Majoran, your supposed tipster, is under my protection. That's why I'm not letting you mess with me, and that's why your testimony has absolutely no credibility whatsoever. Going into that much detail made even Clayman go a bit pale, but he had no intention of ceding his point. Heh. You're willing to stoop to such lows, then? Did you meddle with her corpse and install some evil spirit inside? Well, I said, I wasn't planning to believe anything you said anyway. That's why I figured I'd come over there and beat you up myself, but I wound up changing my mind. Before this council began, my forces gathered some evidence of their own. I then produced several crystal balls from my pocket, teleporting them to the center of the round table and magically triggering them one after the other. Having this stuff, the crystal balls Shuna had found in the ancient castle Clayman called home. After showing the content of those crystal balls, I proudly beamed at him. This is what real evidence looks like, Clayman. You couldn't? All of this was fabricated. Fake images, built with magic, to prop up your lies. How could you be so base, you slime? Lies? They aren't lies, you dummy. Your army's all done, and you're joining them next. EV. Everyone, you can't listen to this trickster. This slime, Rimuru, is a notorious bluffer. He undoes the seal on Veldora to destroy the Falmouth force, and then he parades around pretending he did the act himself. He's just a little slime, all bark and no bite. And it is simply outrageous that he dares to deceive us all in the proud Demon Lord family. Veldora, whose name came up in the meeting, somewhat perked up but soon settled back, sensing that it was Clayman speaking.
Look, Clayman, didn't you say just now that Rimuru goaded the kingdom of Falmouth into attacking? If the news of Veldora's resurrection is true, why would he execute it in such a roundabout fashion?
All right. Allow me to explain. Then he paused for a bit before starting once again. This low-class, unwitting slime must have had the incredible good fortune to acquire the traits of a demon lord. But he must have let it go to his head, for he then traveled to the human realms to investigate the truth behind what he obtained. That drove him to set off a war with the humans on a whim, using the banished Veldora to stage a brutal genocide. Leaving someone like this free to maraud again would damage our very reputations as demon lords. I believe he must be purged, but what is your opinion? Then show us some evidence. Not that you have any, do you? Everything you said was just a bunch of, wouldn't it be nice if? Junk, and you still think they're all gonna swallow it? NGH. Why does some slime claiming the might of a dragon for himself think he has the right to defy us? There is no way you could ever become a demon lord.
Hey, you are dead wrong regarding this, you fake-ass demon lord, surprisingly Veldora spoke up.
NGH. Another lowly magic born. Clayman spat out. This time, however, Guy burst out laughing alongside Veldora, and Velzard also had an amused smile on her face. I too just wanted to laugh at him. The others looked at them both quizzically. Clayman, who had no clue, just had a blank expression.
Oh man, this bastard is too pathetic. Guy, who was holding his stomach due to his laughter, commented almost offhandedly.
Let me enlighten you on my real identity, Veldora declared and started releasing his aura. I am the mighty Strom Dragon Veldora Tempest, the younger brother of Rimuru Tempest, the Chaos Creator. Veldora, you could have only revealed your own identity. Perhaps realizing his mistake, he became meek and quietly sat back on his seat, completely erasing his presence.
Say Velzado an think of this as him giving her a nickname. Would you like to pay a visit to Veldora?
Eep. Veldora nearly jumped out of his seat again. Unfortunately, I would only be able to come after a month or so. Oh, perfect timing. Rimuru. I thought that I heard Veldora screaming, but I ignored him. The other demon lords were stupefied at this point. Veldora and Velzard both are present at the Walpurgis, and Veldora claims the newcomer as his elder brother. By all accounts, even if that's the case, only Veldanaba filled the criteria for that according to them. Well, getting back to the main topic, I don't care about you demon lords at all. All I want is to build a nation that I can enjoy living in. I need the humans' cooperation for that, so I decided to offer my protection to them. Anyone who gets in the way of that, whether a person or a demon lord or the Holy Church, is my enemy. Just like you are, Clayman. I said with far more passion than him as I also ate the table. What the? Oh, one more thing, what would you call trying to taking over someone's mind while we're all chatting at Walpurgis? If you want to fight, then just fight me. Me versus everything you got. Indeed, Guy said with a charmingly attractive smile. In order to keep things fair, we are only allowed to appeal to others through our own voices. But, Guy, shut up, I interrupted. If you don't like it, then it's between you and me, isn't it? I said as I walked to the middle of where the table used to be. He is correct, Clayman. If you call yourself a demon lord, then use your powers to defeat him. And you? Do you intend to declare yourself a demon lord? You have been asking me the exact same question for the past millennium. I think you have your answer by now. I deadpanned at him. You just had to say, yes, or, no, you didn't had to go into that much detail. He deadpanned at me. Sigh. Yes, I do intend to declare myself as a demon lord. I'm already leader of the great forest of Jura, and as far as anyone on the ground's concerned, I am one. Very well. And we have an array of witnesses here as well. If you can win against Clayman before us, I will allow you to adopt the title. Clayman was on the verge of having a panic attack, but he desperately tried to hold it in. He knew now that the person who he had called a lowly Majin was the storm dragon Veldora, alongside that the white ice dragon was also present in the meeting. Even if Milam went on a stampede, it would still be difficult to handle those two. He desperately thought, tried to use his brain. The only thing that he come up with was that even though this slime who was acknowledged by the dragons was giving of a weaker aura when compared to him, he could order Milam to kill him in an instant. Yes, Milam, I still have Milam. Being mind-controlled by Kondo or out of sheer desperation, he ordered Milam. Milam. Kill this foolish slime in an instant. Tension raced across the chamber. Even the demon lords were nervous, although some were maintaining perfect calm as always. One moment she was sitting on her seat, and the very next moment she was in my face about to hit me with a white-hot ball of energy-infused punch. But I saw everything with my increased perception. I too in that instant grew transformed into my fully grown form, which was around 180 centimeters in height, and blocked her punch with my bare hand. No magic, no enhancements, no power-ups, just pure physical strength. I snatched the pendant that was disguised as the so-called orb of domination that was hung around Milam's neck and threw towards Clayman. This time though I infused my hand with the negative energy extracted from Turn Null, and threw the orb. The orb now turned into a deadly projectile comparable to the kamikaze bullet. The orb infused with Calamity Claw, an attack that carries an intense poison property. With the help of Divine Edge, moved towards Clayman at speeds close to the speed of light, exceeding the speed of sound by hundreds of thousands of times. There was one more thing. As the bullet was about to hit him, Rimuru applied Mind Accelerate on Clayman, speeding up his thought process by 1 billion times. Clayman only survived for 1 second, but that 1 second was stretched to become 31 years of pain, suffering and torment. It was over in an instant. No one had seen how it happened, but Clayman was dead and his remains were eaten by Rimuru. Except Guy, Diablo, Veldora and Velzard. Soft clapping sounds could be heard as the Lord of Darkness Guy Crimson stood up. An impressive feat, he solemnly intoned. I hereby recognize your right, from this day forward, to call yourself a demon lord. Does anyone disagree? No one in their right mind would disagree, except the ever hot-blooded muscles for brains Roy Valentine, who objected because I was a monster and related to Veldora. Well, I strictly told Veldora to not reveal Ruminus's identity, but he did it anyways. Well, I won't punish him for this because Roy was actually being hella irritating this time around. Carillion and Frey too stepped down from their posts and became Milam's servants. Huh, So we aren't the 10 great demon lords any longer? That is a concern, DeGruel rumbled. In terms of our dignity, we will need to consider a new name. Fortunately, Walpurgis is still underway. We have all our demon lords here. Now would be a wonderful time to brainstorm. Ooh yes, it was a real mess the last go-round. Our numbers kept going up and down, and we had to hold so many darn councils to settle on a new name each time. You're right, the 10 great demon lords thing stuck after the humans came up with that, didn't it? After we wasted all that time thinking something up. Well, I'm through with it. I don't have the wherewithal to think about it. Silence, all you did was complain. I don't remember a single constructive suggestion from your end. What are you talking about, Valentine? You left that whole process to Roy, did you not? All right. People. Calm down. I have the perfect person for this job. You see, Rimuru's a real professional at the naming business. And here is his cue. No, now don't be so stingy, Rimuru. Didn't you name thousands of demons just a few days ago? Including the remaining primordial demons. Oh no, I was caught. I thought that he wouldn't notice, but it was just wishful thinking. So what? I retorted. Rimuru, today you stand as a new demon lord. I wish to grant you a wonderful new privilege to provide us with a new name. Nope, I don't need it. With that, the table was cut cleanly in half as Guy started to walk towards me. Already being told about this little play, I also stood up and walked towards him. We met in the center face to face. The room began expanding, leaving us in the middle. It expanded to become nearly a square kilometer in area, leaving us with a fair bit of space to play. Demon versus Dragon. Clash of the strongest. Both releasing their Yuki and Haki, overwhelming everyone else in the room.